Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back, and this time with a quick tutorial kind of tips and tricks episode based on the carrier. So, very often in the chat, in help, the question pops up, how do I land a plane on a carrier, or how do I use carriers? Although from quickly scanning over the chat, I can't see any examples now, but trust me, it pops up frequently. So the answer is quite simple. I have an interceptor here, and when they load in, yeah, there they are, the carriers. I just drag it like that, and the plane's going to fly out there, and it's going to land. This carrier here is only level 1, so it only has capacity for 2 aircraft. So, obviously that means it only has capacity for 2 aircraft. Another thing I would like to say is strategic bombers cannot land on aircraft carriers at all. Full stop, they can't do it, end of story, no matter what level. Now, tactical bombers are a little different. So how it works with tactical bombers is level 1 through to 3 cannot land on carriers. Level 4 upwards can. Okay? And naval bombers and interceptors can land on a carrier regardless of the aeroplane's level. So that is how you land a plane on a carrier. You just drag it out there and it lands on it. Simple, right? So there's not really much more to say. I can say how I use carriers, and I'm going to. So generally how I use carriers is early game, I set them up with 2 interceptors, and if I have another carrier, 2 naval bombers. In this case, I am gonna have 3 carriers in this battle group. The other one is still moving up the coast. So how I work that is, at first I'll have 3 interceptors and 3 naval bombers, and that is just the combination I'll use. Then, as soon as I can, and at the moment I'm still researching other things, I'll upgrade to level 2. Hopefully by that point, most of the time, because I'm slow, I've already upgraded tactical bombers to level 4 in most scenarios. But at that point I can usually send 3 tactical bombers to land on them, because with the upgrade you get an extra 1 spot of capacity for each aircraft carrier, and that is how I run them. I have an even amount of interceptors, naval bombers, and tactical bombers. So over in, what was this game here? This game here, I made great use of carriers. This convoy up here, this large group here, you can see it's only down to 2 interceptors and 2 naval bombers. I haven't had time to send new aircraft up to it, as the battle has only just kind of slowed down. Initially we were fighting, although he's dead now, we were fighting California, who controlled all of this area that's now controlled by Bruno, if that's how you pronounce it, as well as Sao Paulo, South Argentina, and North Brazil. And basically what happened is they'd moved all their forces from South America up into North America to get land and expand. And when they did that, me and Upper Volta counterattacked, and we did so successfully. And then came the problem that there wasn't any troops anywhere. We noticed that straight away. It's like we're marching across all this land and there's no resistance. So, you know, I send this group up here, and I noticed something. There's heaps of convoys, and that's when I realized what carriers are made for: destroying convoys. Like, you can't hold enough naval bombers to effectively destroy ships, really, to be honest. But convoys can be destroyed incredibly easily. Now, for some reason, it's wiped the stats of how many enemies have been destroyed by these 2 groups right here. Maybe if I send them into the sky, it might come back. Let's have another look now. But between them, I sunk just under maybe 100 units in convoys, and that changed the whole battlefield. Is they couldn't send any troops down, and before, where I've had this one battle group rushing from target to target, I've made the most of the range that these units have and their scouting ability to scout out the area, then deploying naval bombers to sink the ships. really, really effective. Down here, on the other hand, where there wasn't as much combat at sea, I effectively, still, by the way, I'd like to say, I'm still rebuilding this one's fleet here. It kind of got destroyed by bombers itself. But down here, I used the naval bombers to watch out for submarines. There was a massive engagement where South America sent 33 submarines at me. I was able to get it, well, detect it with my naval bombers and send 8 submarines at the time to shield the battleship. Luckily, well, unluckily for me at the time, I was right in here, and there's only one way. I kind of been there, but I was stuck with only one way out, wherever I was, and the submarines saved me, and because the naval bombers had detected the threat, I was all good to go. So what I recommend you do with naval bombers is you use them to scout the paths that your ships are going to travel. That way you can detect submarines in advance, and if you don't have spies, military saboteurs, you'll be able to detect enemy submarines and know where they're going. But the problem I do have with these sort of ships and the planes on them is it is hard to restock them. These planes, for example, this whole fleet was all the way over in South America, with the other fleet down there, both ground pounding and just destroying stuff. And over time, the aircraft got wore out, I couldn't repair them, and they just got shot down. So then I had the problem where I didn't have enough over here to rebuild, so I had to send them all the way back to get new aircraft. So that is one thing I do have to say, is that it is a bit of a hassle sometimes, and you don't want to send carriers by themselves. Although they do have this good defense, it's not worth losing them. They cost a lot of resources and time to make. So I'll just show you in a lot older game. This game's nearly over. Yeah, so like I said, I keep an even amount of each type of plane available, and although the max capacity for these aircraft is not used because I still have 30 aircraft spaces I can use available, that is generally how you want to use it. In this game, I'm lucky enough that I do have heaps of resources available because the game is, it must be nearing 100 days? Oh no, just about 100 and a half. And I'm just about there, like I'm just, yeah, you know, nearly there. But you don't want to overstock an aircraft carrier, because if that sinks, you lose aircraft as well. And aircraft, especially in early game, are not easy to reproduce. So as we can see now, we've come all the way back to this game, and the plane is just about there by the looks of it. Just about there. Is it like 5 minutes? No, it's there right now. It's refueling. So that's how you get a plane on a carrier. I am aware of a bug at the moment where when carriers with planes on them regroup into a stack, planes can be lost, so do be careful about that when you're regrouping planes, carriers with planes on them. Also, one thing I'd like to say is that it is a lot easier to put planes onto a carrier when the carrier is out of port, and by that I mean if it's pressed right up against land. Like, if I was to send that ship way down there, assume that's just a carrier for a second, if it's way down there, it's a lot harder to get troops, airplanes to land on it. That's just something I've noticed. So that is just another quick tip. And it's a lot harder with cities, because obviously that point there is pretty close, so you have to be very careful about that, or else you just end up with your planes driving into the city. And if there's no runway, that can be incredibly time consuming, getting it back to a runway and back up in the air. Which is something, if you're in a war scenario and you need that plane, it can waste a lot of time and it can make a huge difference. So that's how I use carriers, and that is, very easily how you land a plane on a carrier. It wasn't that hard, was it? I don't get what people, have trouble with. I know it's a new feature, so it is probably still buggy for some people. But I have never had any problems landing planes on carriers. I do have problems from time to time with them, but other than that, they're pretty good, and a good feature that, if used correctly, can make a huge difference. So, yeah, that's how I use carriers. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.